Welcome to Live with Jill and Frank,
Welcome.
episode 43. A little bit off on the numbers because we had a miss
Eh,
last week, but we're sticking with it because that's the lineup.
It is
Um,
definitely some episode. Okay,
yes.
we know that.
My name is Jill Petrie. I'm a psychic medium.
And my name is just Frank, and for tonight I wrote I'm a confused puppy. So
That
that's
works.
why we're a bit late. Listen, I think we both were a confused puppy. We showed up and we started talking, and we started actually talking about topics that we want to discuss tonight, and
And
then
then we went
found
off
out,
topic.
hey, how about we do this live with people? So yes, that's those are the kinds of things that can happen with us. So stick around. There's always something interesting.
Yes, definitely. So, a few things tonight. We're going to talk about some EFT tapping. If you don't know what that is, it's emotional freedom technique. Something we've been doing in one of our circles the last couple of weeks, and we're getting some benefits out of it. So I wanted to kind of share it with everybody. Something that you can do at home. It's not just for people that are developing mediumship or psychically. It's something you can do for anything, like any struggles you're going through. If you're dealing with anxiety, if you're dealing with trauma, whatever it is, it's a technique that can help you. Frank, you have any experience with EFT tapping?
Really like the same I was telling you earlier. I've had before. Somebody showed me once to reduce anxiety to tap under my eye, and it actually worked. Like, I mean, I was in a situation and they said, like, try this, like it really calms. And I did it, and I was like, hey, you know what, it actually works. uh Something that's not the same but is related is, if anybody's afraid of heights in ladders and stuff like that, something that has helped me, because I'm afraid, but I work construction, so every once in a while I'm called to be in there anyways. You If you touch anything to your calves, immediately you kind of go, okay, I'm all right. I don't know why. It's like your brain assumes that because you're touching something that it doesn't matter how little is behind you. You just told your brain you're good. It's a little trick, and it works. So, anyways.
So, what we doing is us. We're doing specifically for psychic development. So we're doing something
Oh,
different, and
nice.
we're actually doing a class. So we're tapping in doubts that we may have to improve in our development, and we start with the eyebrow, and you tap in. Well, first you start with grading yourself. Like, let's say you are you're wanting to quit smoking. Let's use that as an example. You
I
can
like
use
that.
anything. Let's say you want to quit smoking. um, so you're gonna decide how bad you want to quit smoking from 1 to 10. So let's say I want to quit smoking um a lower number. You're gonna tap it in a lower amount of times, a higher number, a higher amount of times. I'm gonna go with three,
Okay.
just because I'm not gonna sit here and tap it 8 times. Okay. So we're gonna just go with
Why
three.
do I have a feeling that's also your level of commitment to quit smoking?
Just well, I first of all, I don't want to quit smoking, and second of all,
So three's as good as
just
it
for
gets.
time wise, we're gonna go with three.
Look
So
at that.
we
Tomorrow
would
morning,
do,
you'll stop smoking.
we would start with something like the negative thought. We tap in the negative first.
Mhm.
So we would say, smoking is bad for me. So smoking is bad for me. And then you go here. And these are the points where you tap in your thoughts.
Okay.
Smoking is bad for me. 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 And then under the arm, smoking is bad for me. Smoking is bad for me. And then you would go back around and you would tap in the
The
positive
amount of
points.
times. Okay.
And I did it backwards because I don't want to quit smoking, first of all, but I'm getting a text probably because I did it backwards. I would say smoking is not bad for me. But if I want to quit smoking, then I would go back around and say it is bad. You see? So you
Oh,
type it in
yes. Yes.
negatively first
Yes.
and then the positive. So I would type in smoking is
I
not,
like smoking.
or I like smoking. I love smoking. Smoking does not make me smell
Relaxes
like
me.
smoking. Yeah. Anything, like that. And then you would go back around and you start with on top of the eyebrow, by the eye, under the nose, on the chin, the collarbone, on under the arm, and then on the head.
Hmm. Okay.
And then it changes your, these pressure points changes your way of thinking and helps you to think differently and to change your habits.
Well, it's weird because the only thing I know that uses something similar, I'm having a hard time sort of like making the two gel together because you know how that's always what I try, right? I try to take any new information and I try to make it stick to all the other information I may have. Um, and so the only thing where I come close to this is with NLP, where you're using like anchor points. And so I believe like that's pretty much what you're doing is you're using the anchor point. You're sort of creating anchor points in order to modify them. So you're saying, this means I love smoking, right? Da, 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 da,
Mhm.
da, 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 da. And then you're going like, no, it means I don't like smoking. Now, where NLP would differ is that you would come back to the whatever you've anchored. Let's say it would be, tapping on the shoulder or whatever, or, even doing this can be an anchor.
Mhm.
But whatever you've anchored, you'll come back to it. But this is where I'm like, okay, wait up. You don't come back to it. You don't recall it. So it's like, it's instant. It's very condensed. So I'm like, okay, how does it manage to recognize the difference between, like, how does it, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a
And
2-in-1 shampoo.
right. And
I
I'm not
don't know.
100% familiar with it yet because we've just been doing it for the last couple of weeks,
Yeah, yeah,
but I will come back and keep you updated. And I mean, y'all can look it up
definitely.
and check it out and see what it's about and what it can help you with. But
Well, I
it's not
saw it
just
helps with
for,
anxiety for one
yeah,
thing, and
anxiety would
that's a
probably
good
be a
thing.
big one.
Like I think I had seen it, well, not seen it like learned it, but seen people use it and whatever, even in like office settings and stuff like that. It's relatively mainstream, like it's
Mhm.
very accepted, if you will. So it's kind of, in that
And I'm
respect,
told
it's
that
kind
it's
of cool.
very effective too.
So that's very so guys, look into that EFT tapping. You know,
Emotional
it's
freedom technique.
and also, well, I mean, obviously Jill has mentioned she does it in circle. So if you guys are interested in Jill's circle, that's also something that you may want to talk to her about. Um, in my case, I'm just a confused puppy.
So what are you confused about today, Frank?
Today, no, it's just everything was so fast, and I showed up like literally 3 minutes before the podcast, and I was like, but I'm not really that confused. I actually had a good day. I was house shopping. I had fun. I saw some wonderful places. I didn't actually go visit them, but I was starting the process, like just looking at what,
Online?
well, online and going to some of them to just kind of scout the area or whatever, because I kind of want to get enough nature and I want to be close enough to everything. So it's kind of a balancing act. Um, but I'm finding some pretty decent places for it, so it would be very nice. And then that would give me a nice space to be able to set up a studio that can stay up all the time,
Mhm.
provided the girls don't destroy it. Actually, no, they'll be the cleanup. They'll be the cleanup crew.
Cleanup crew.
They want to earn money these days. Anyways, so yeah, so everybody knows it's because I have my daughter and a bunch of her friends, and I keep on paying them to do all kinds of stuff around my house. So that's the girl squad there. So now I had highlighted something here that I wanted to talk about. I liked that topic, The relationship between sound and spirituality.
Sound and spirituality.
Yeah.
What up? Well, you start because I'm.
You'll,
I
you'll
don't know.
get,
I'm dumbfounded when you just first mentioned it.
you'll immediately catch on, because it's something that you've already shown interest in.
Okay,
Anytime I
you
vibrate a
got me
god name,
interested.
anytime I vibrate a god name when I'm doing ritual, that's exactly what I'm doing, right? I'm using sound. I'm using a specific vibration to manipulate a particular energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, in that respect, anyways, the way I use it, yeah, sound has a huge relationship. Now, also, we have bells that are used by Buddhists,
Mm-hmm.
we have bowls that
Singing
resonate at
bowls,
certain frequencies. Um, there's a lot
forks.
about sound and music as a whole is very I mean
Yep.
it is human, it is tribal, it is in our gut. It's not something that comes, I mean, it comes from our head, but it comes from deeper, it comes from our gut.
We've
We had
actually tried
music.
music in the circle before because music is to me very important. Before I do a reading, I usually listen to music. A lot of people go into meditation, but
Mhm.
music is my meditation.
Imagine for a moment that you're, you know, millions of years ago, whenever humanity started or whatever, right? And you're walking through nature. Now, what do you hear, right? You hear thunder, you hear storms, you hear, and from my understanding, I don't think the weather was that clement back then either. I don't know how we made it. We can't make it through this, and we made it through that. Wow. um, but anyways, but you know what I mean. So we had thunder, we had the rain, and then we had, like, you would come across a little stream of water, and all of a sudden it would be like, because there wasn't any of all the noise that we have now, right? It was just, you walked around and then you would hear something in the foliage, or you would, sound would play a very important part, I guess, in our I came up with a weird theory. Like, don't get me, it's not an actual theory, it's just I play with ideas all the time in my head, so
Hmm.
I'm disclosing that to people, that. um but they say there's people that use the name Jehovah, or Yahweh,
Jehovah.
or Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever. The thing is, that name is the one name of God that nobody know. It doesn't come with a pronunciation. We do not know how to pronounce those letters
Hmm.
together. It's like unknown. But it is also supposed to be that way. It's meant to be that way, and it's called the ineffable name, because you can't say it, because that would, theoretically, that would give you knowledge of God, right? Now, at some point, I was toying with the idea. And they say God is a verb, right? Like, when they talk about creation, the first thing that happened, God, like, it was an action. It was a So maybe the first apparition of God that we have is some dude in the jungle going, Yahweh. And everybody went, what the whoa, man. What? This is it. You know what I mean? Like, and then from there, it became like, yeah, the Yahweh, that's the thing, bro. And then they assigned all kinds of powers to it and whatever, and religion continued doing what it does. But I don't know, I was just having fun with that.
Um,
And that's why we don't know how to pronounce it, because nobody freaking knows. It was just some dude that said that, but it was the original sound. It was the first thing ever said by any human, because at some point we had to go from silent to you know what I mean? Like, somebody somewhere like just went, "Whoa, I can do noise. How does that work? I can imitate that thunder and that." And then we started yelling at each other because we do that so well. So I imagine that's the first thing we did with our voice.
I just don't. When you said that the first vision, that you lost me. I
Oh,
don't
it's
believe.
those
I
are
know.
just
I know. I know.
toying
I
with
know. It's just
ideas.
words. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't think there ever was a vision.
Oh no, there's no
We're going
vision of
deeper
that.
now.
No, no,
I
that
know.
was
I
just
know. It's a
a
metaphor.
brain. It was a brain thing, not a. That one was not a vision, but it was a brain thing. I played with that information and went, "Hey, what if?" I do that because I mean, a lot of
So
it is just what ifs. A lot of it,
I mean, everything has to be until we get there or wake up
exactly.
completely.
So I just keep on changing it in my head. That's something I do, and I think sometimes I wonder. I'm finding out, that I'm possibly autistic, and I'm going, "Whoa, wait a minute! Have I been trying my entire life to teach people how to think in an autistic manner?" Because that's what I do, right? I take apart everything and then I bring it back into the big picture, and then I make it make sense. And then on top of it, I studied the Kabbalah, which makes your brain do that in parts as well. And so, yeah, in my head, like everything is bits and pieces, and I just try them on for size. I just kind of go, oh, what if I believed this today? What would happen? I don't know. Let's try. Next person I meet, that's what I believe. Why not? If I don't like it, I can pull back. I can go back to what I was. Nothing stops me. But that wanting to explore, that willingness to explore myself and to say, hey, I can change in any way, it came from being in rehab, right? I got to rehab and literally sometimes I get images in my head. And the image I had when I got there was actually like a Lego, like a plate where you build Lego on top of it, a flat base, if you will. It was that with a million Lego destroyed on top of it. And I was like, okay, that's what my life is at right now. Like everything is destroyed, nothing makes sense. And I went, okay, so from there, I guess all I got to do is build something because there's nothing. And I started building, and I did. And I'm okay with what I built.
It's yeah. That scenario could have went so bad with a different building material or different way of demolishing it. Like had it been toothpick built off of toothpicks and burnt down, what would have happened?
Well, I would have started making toothpicks out of trees because that's just how creative I am. I don't know. I would have had another allegory in my head, but I mean, it just came because I like Lego, and it kind of just for me that was the place that it took to have that sort of visual that sometimes I work visually like that. It's just more. I understand more with images than with thoughts. Other times it's thoughts, it's voices, but
Hmm.
sometimes it's images. I had never realized that before, actually. That's interesting. But yeah, sometimes it comes as images.
I think I use more thought than image,
I use more thought than image, I'm pretty sure.
and I have like
But
more like knowing than anything. Like
yeah,
just I don't even know
same here.
sometimes where the words come from. Like
I know. It's yeah, I get that feeling. I totally get that feeling. That is the weirdest.
you
Does
know what's the
anybody
hardest
in the
thing?
chat, like if anybody's listening, whatever, leave a message, whatever. Do you get that you're in front of somebody and whatever they're telling you something and you know everything and you're just kind of answering to things they haven't even told you yet or whatever, and they're just like okay, like really what's going on, or okay, like, I'll say the one that happened with my daughter with the planet thing there. I showed up at my daughter's school. I say, she comes out. She goes, "Dad, guess what happened?" And I go, "Oh, you went to another planet and discovered three different alien races." And she goes, "Like, oh my god, how did you know?" And I was like, "There's no way." like that is not what you did today, right? And she goes, no, but I just drew a planet with an alien on it. And I was like, oh my god, okay, that like I just wanted to run away almost, but I was like, okay, like how it just comes out. It just kind of like, I don't know. It's
Yep.
weird.
Yeah, it's really hard when, like, especially like when I'm in a reading and I'll say something and the sitter will be like, "Why?" or like, "How?" I don't know. Like, well, how do you know that? I don't know. Like, you
Yeah.
lucky I know that, much less let me tell you how or
Yeah.
why. You
If
know,
you can
like,
tell me how, I would pay you.
and then sometimes people call back, like after, and you remember you told, no, I don't remember telling you
Oh
this.
god.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember what I told you. It
Who are
comes
you?
out and that's it. I don't remember it after.
I remember sometimes. Well, I mean, I don't remember anything, so it
Well,
gets lost in that. But
a lot of psychics forget like what they read because with the reading's not meant for me. It's meant for the other person. So I'm not meant to remember it.
yeah, I forget my name though, so that's why I'm like, okay, I would
I,
forget
I
one way
forget
or
my
another.
name too, but it's probably because nobody calls me by my name often.
I call you by your name.
No, you call me Psychic Jill.
No, that's on my phone. It says Psychic Jill. It says Jill Psychic. It's just I get confused so easily with my contacts, so I always put a description, something that says who the person is, so that if I have many Jills, I won't go like, oh my god, so I'll just go like, oh, it's the psychic one, where the other one is the waitress one, or I don't know. It's like the neighbor. I don't know. All right, so let's pick. I have other topics here. We can pick one. Um, I'm going to go in reverse order. The concept of universal consciousness in spiritual philosophy. That's one. The role of dreams in spiritual exploration and healing. The practice of
Mm.
mindful breathing and its spiritual benefits. The importance of
You gonna make me forget
forgiveness.
the first one before you pick one.
Universal consciousness. Dreams.
Okay. Well,
Mindful breathing. Forgiveness.
wait, pick one.
Well,
We can talk about
I'm
all of
just
them, but
going. I'm
pick
just
one.
using keywords of each,
Okay,
so
let's
you'll
start
pick
with number
one.
one. Which
Okay. Universal consciousness.
okay,
The
go
fact
ahead.
that we're one and that that we should have access to that consciousness.
Yeah. Um. So basically, we are one. It's gonna be so hard to
Okay,
make.
cool. Dreams now. No.
It's gonna be so hard to like bring that out for people that don't, because it was hard for me to grasp that. When the first time I was told that, I was like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, I didn't get it. Like, you are me, I am you. We are God, God is us. Like, I didn't get it.
You're
I did
in for
not
a
grasp
surprise
it.
at some point too,
Yeah.
because okay,
Go
here's
ahead.
what happens, and this is with almost everything spiritual. At least so far, that's been my experience.
Hmm.
You kind of get to um, somewhere where you understand something in your head. You go, shit, that makes so much sense now.
Hmm.
Why did I never understand that before?
Right.
And then one day something happens and you actually feel it, you perceive it, you live it. I don't know how to call that. And then all of a sudden you go, whoa, how can I freaking explain this to anybody? And it never
It's
happens. You
hard to
cannot.
explain
It's
unless you go through it.
you can't, and you're gonna try, and some people are just not gonna get it. Some people are gonna get it at that intellectual level, which is most people. Not most people. Most people who get it. Most people don't get it. Some people get it, and very few people actually fully, like embody it, if you will.
Yeah.
Because it's a weird. Um, I always use the same. Wait up, we have that here. I'm gonna use one of your graphics. I always use, like, to me, it's like all I always say is this. It's the best I can give you as a representation. That It is what it is. Like it's that's what we're part of. We are
It's bigger
this.
than that, though. It's bigger
But
than that.
that's the closest representation that our brain can comprehend. Beyond that
I don't
white
know.
hole,
It's
there's a whole
bigger. It's
world.
no, no, no. I don't.
Behind
Maybe
that middle, there's an
maybe other people
entire.
resonate with this. For me, I don't resonate with this at
Well, what do you
all
mean?
because that looks so small compared to what we are to me.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that hole is a door.
Yeah,
But that's no, but that looks so small. It's the friggin' sun.
I know.
You're
I
calling the
know.
sun small?
Yeah, compared to the universe, you damn right I am.
The sun is by no means small. Well, yeah, compared to the universe, but you're using it to comprehend the universe.
Like,
Your relationship to the sun. Do you understand your relationship to the sun?
hmm
What is your relationship to the sun?
the sun is what provides me with the heat in Louisiana.
The sun is what provides you with
The
life.
sun, I know the
It's
sun
the one and only
provides
thing.
me with everything: food, um, light, heat.
Everything.
I get it. I get
Life.
it. But
Life. It is life.
but we are still bigger than the sun.
Yes,
Be,
we are. But what I'm saying is that thing that you say nobody can understand, the closest representation we have of it is the sun. It is that level of energy plus that energy. Have you ever stared at the sun?
you
Don't. You'll go
can't.
blind. Please, people, never do that. Why? Because that's how bright God is. That's what we're part of.
Hmm.
Now, if you focus on that for like I do people do exercises where they bring down energy and whatever. Go try and do one of those standing in the sun. Tell me you get the same experience. All of a sudden, you'll be like flooded with that energy and you'll be like, what the heck's going on? Well, yeah. Where do you think it comes from? That's where it's coming from. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the universe is bigger, but yes, the laws of the universe that are affecting us closely are we're more affected by the things that are in proximity to us, like the sun, the moon. I mean, any women will say the moon affects us because you guys are all freaking timed on the moon. So,
Men are from Mars or something.
well, yes, we tend to be more timed with, well, not really timed with the sun, but in some respect, anyways. But it's yeah, the sun and the moon have always been the representation assigned. But then each of us within has both aspects. And it's important for us to go and to explore the opposite. Like it was important for me to go and explore the moon side and then come back to the sun side. Come back to the it. I don't know how to explain it. When I was on the streets, when I was younger, I would speak to the moon. Like I would literally I'd be outside sitting, before bed or whatever. Bed was like, a patch of grass. But before bed I would, look at the moon and I had a quartz, like a pretty big piece of quartz somebody had given me. I had seen them pass and they were wearing it and I was panhandling and I said, "Oh my god, I love your quartz." And they said, "Here, have it." And I was like, "Oh my god." Anyways, and I would talk to the moon and I had a relationship with the moon. But I think this is when we start delving in. Most people, and I mean, anybody that's listening to this, please comment. Like some of those things, they're theories I have, and they're backed up by certain people and certain things, but I'd like to see how they apply to other people. But as far as I can tell, we sort of enter like the mediumship and our psychic abilities, and we start playing with visuals and entering slowly the etheric world, and that is the world of vision, that is the world of dreams, that is the world of the moon. And at that time, when we're crossing that time, when we're learning about all those things, we're focused on the moon, typically we'll have that sort of relationship that's more special with the moon than with anything else. But what I found happened to me is that after I started like at some point, well, anyways, I can only speak about my path. My path was the path of I used some of the techniques of magic, and for me, what ended up happening is that all the visualizations that I was creating all the time at one point started taking life, I guess is what I would call it. They started almost having minds of their own, but not in a bad way, in a very cooperative way, in a very informative way, in a very it was like it's like tapping into parts of myself that I didn't even know existed before. And so that's the experience that it brought me. And as it did that, as the visualizations that I was usually creating from my imagination, they started taking different shapes. Like they would take different colors, different shapes, different, I would call an archangel and its robe would be completely different from what I would normally imagine, but it totally worked. And it was like twice as vibrant as I ever was able to visualize it. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not touching that. That's good. I love that. And it just started happening more and more. As that started happening, I started building more of a relationship with the sun, with my heart center. And then I developed my intuition more. And so for me, that was sort of the evolution that happened. And I believe that beyond that, there's still like way more evolution to be done. Uh, but it like, anyways, so far that's where I'm at. Ask me 30 years from now where I am, but if I'm
Oh,
alive,
further, I'm sure.
I hope. I hope. You never know, actually. We're humans, man. We can revert. We can do weird stuff. Like, you know what I mean? You can end up in some weird trauma, and next thing you know, like you spend the next 7 years in a little ball, and then you have to relearn half your life.
Yeah, you
Like
never know.
it is very yeah, humanity is special.
Shit.
Oh, sweetie pie. Oh, she okay? Oh, sorry guys. It's because we have a visitor. We have a baby. And so we're taking care of a friend's baby. Well, we are. I'm not really taking care of anything. Jill is taking care of a baby, so we're. So yeah, okay. So yes, that universal consciousness, the feeling of one. How do you people like? Let us know in the chat. Like, how do you people feel about that? What do you feel any sense of closeness? Um, Here's something else that helped me understanding that, and in my case it was what's called gematria. Gematria, it's a kabbalistic science. It primarily works with Hebrew, but there exists English gematria, and I don't think it matters that much. So you can look up online an English gematria, gematria, gematria. You can look up an English gematria calculator. And then the idea is that whenever you talk about two different words that have the same numerical value, the reason it works in Hebrew particularly is because Hebrew does not have letters and numbers. The letters are numbers, biblical Hebrew, anyways. I don't know anything about modern Hebrew because they had added vowels and it's very different. Um, But in biblical Hebrew, the letters are also the numbers. And because of that, every word has a numerical value by definition. And so you can really play with that. But people have created an English gematria, so you can play with that. But what it yields is that you're going to get words like, I don't know, God and one. like one a certain word for God, like let's say Lord or whichever. Um, well, actually, in our case, the word we were talking about earlier, Yudevave, is 26, which is Jehovah, Yehovah, whatever. Yudev. I say the letters Yudevave. Um, that word is 26, and the word for one is 26. So then you can say God is one, God is unity. And so you can continue, like you can keep on going through. And what it does, and this is where like anybody, well, not anybody, but uh in my case, I kind of started looking at it and I went, okay, but then, yeah, of course, I'm going to be able to always follow some kind of idea that's going to make sense. And in a very short amount of time, because of that, I went, oh, well, yeah, that's the whole idea behind it, is that you're making links in your brain between things. And in doing so, you're opening your brain to the idea of oneness because everything keeps coming back on itself. So in the end, you're saying God is one, God is love, God is love, love is one, da 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 da. And then your brain starts just piecing all that together and going, well, I guess everything's one, because you keep on coming back to numbers, and then you use the tree of life and the numbers from 1 to 10 to represent certain ideas, and all of a sudden you're like, going down rabbit holes of all kinds of craziness, and you're like, wow, oh my god, like da, 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 and but the truth is, it's everything is one, so it just, but you still, even as you get the big picture of it, even the details are still cool, because as your brain creates new neural pathways or whatever it's doing while you're doing this, it just like it opens up new ways of thinking, new creative ways of managing stuff. You know what I mean?
What about the dreams?
Well, your turn. What about the dreams?
What's your dream topic?
Well, it just says the role of dreams in spiritual exploration and healing. What are dreams? Let's start there, maybe. What do you
Anybody?
think they are?
Oh, it depends. It can be a subconscious mind or it can be a visit from a loved one. It just depends on the dream. Depends on like if you remember the dream or if you don't remember the dream.
Some people dream
Um,
the future.
if yeah, it can be a prediction of the future. It can
Some
be a
some
lot of
people.
things. I'm not
Well, no, but that's
um
the thing. I'm
too
we're
familiar with
probing.
dream interpretation, but it can be a lot of things.
Well, see, okay, I'm not going to be popular here, but all those books that are like interpret your dreams, and it tells you like if you see an elephant, it's because, yes, those are perfect if you need fire. Aside from that, I don't know, because dreams are very personal. They're your subconscious talking to you. Now, whether different things can happen, your subconscious can be playing, it can be trying to make sense of what happened during your day. So you'll revisit stuff that happened and you'll get information mixed in that's like, relevant to what you did today or this week or whatever. And then there's your subconscious actually trying to tell you stuff, because it attempts to. Okay, well, here's what, you know what? Three topics above, there's also the higher self. And
A dream can be your higher self.
exactly. And that's important because, yes, those dreams, like knowing what your dreams are telling you, will get you closer to that higher self, closer to that part of you that knows. I don't know what to call it. I call it the part of you that knows because it just does. It knows. Um, and that you speak to that through your intuition. That's how you communicate with that part of you. Um, so yeah, it gets you closer. You know what I mean? Your dreams are sometimes, like oftentimes, it's trying to tell you things because it uses symbols. It cannot. It's very poor at using words. Uh, oh, sweetie. It's your subconscious does not understand words well, and on top of it, this is especially important if you're doing affirmations and things like that. Never use negatives because your subconscious does not cap capture does not capture negatives. So if you say I don't want to drink, your subconscious is hearing I want to drink because you're focusing on drink. It's a little trick of the mind, but yes, it doesn't understand negatives. It only understands that you're thinking about drink. So if you're trying to say I want to stop this, it's not going to work. It's I want to be this way. You know what I mean? You have to define where it is you want to be and then aim for it versus trying to get away from something because you're still aiming for it. Because you keep on repeating, hey, here it is, here it is, here it is. Does that make any sense?
Kind of, but
Well, it
it's a little confusing to me.
well, it's kind of weird, but it's that's the problem. It doesn't understand the negative part because you're still focusing on the thing. Okay, go in a room full of people and say, "Hey, everybody, do not think about a rhinoceros." What just happened?
I didn't.
Everybody just thought of an rhinoceros, right? While there's easier things than rhinoceros, I kind of went with a big one. But if you say nobody think of a cat, please don't think of a cat. Like, yeah, somebody's thinking of a cat now. It's just bound to happen. But it's because we don't, you know what I mean? So it works with okay. If anybody's wants any parenting advice, it works with children. Instead of telling them do not do this, you can say, well, young children, older ones kind of catch on and they don't care and they just want to
Oh,
kill
I've
you
done that with
anyways.
my kids a lot.
But instead of saying don't do this, you say, hey, check this out, and here they go, and you're like, okay, cool, that was avoided. Like, it's that easy, but nobody does it. Everybody's trying to stop them, and it's like, no, don't stop them. Or they go, you're in timeout, and I'm like, you,
Don't you taste those vegetables.
and
Don't you
so
dare taste those vegetables.
no, but the thing is, timeout works. Just don't present it as a punishment. Present it as an opportunity to think. You go, hey, you know what? Like, we may have been a little bit quick here. How about we go think about it for a minute and then we come back and talk about it? And then they'll be like, because usually it's just they got super excited and they got freaked out and whatever happened. And so you just kind of calm it down and go, okay, go to your room, think about it. I'll come back, try to answer what it is you did wrong, and you'll be out of your room. And they're like, oh, okay. And so they want to get out of their room. They'll figure out what they did. And if they can't, you can help them. So it's a win-win-win.
Mm, mm.
Here we are. So live with Jill and Frank every Thursday. We give parenting advice now.
I don't suggest you listen to me on that.
I don't suggest you listen to me on anything, but if nothing else, I'm entertaining and I have an opinion on everything. That's my thing, I guess. And I can be a confused puppy. I should probably remove that by now. I'm not as confused anymore. I will write mystic. That I am. Okay. Anybody in the chat have any ideas for topics? Anything they would want to learn about? Let me go through topics, and if anybody has one that they like, tell us. Connection between spirituality and creativity, the importance of compassion and empathy, the role of surrender and trust, practice of mindful eating. Oh, that's a tough one. I struggle with that one. Relationship between spiritual growth and emotional intelligence. Can we go with that? That's a good one.
That's a difficult.
I think it's important though, and it's overlooked.
Go
Um,
ahead.
well, here's the thing. My own belief is that anybody that wants to have any kind of spiritual life, if you can afford it, by any means necessary, if you can, please have a therapist. Like by all means, explore yourself through psychology, develop emotion, learn to deal with your emotions. What? Okay, here's my theory. All the problems in the earth right now are because we're angry. Our pandemic is an anger pandemic. We're all a bunch of frustrated people. We're all angry at each other. We all want to kill each other. And that's okay. We just have to be mindful of it and say, wow, what the hell is going on with us? And then we can start fixing it. But yeah, we have a huge problem here. And so why are we so angry? Because most of us have a really, really crappy emotional intelligence. We can't handle emotions. The problem is that our ego has given us a tool by which to avoid feeling emotions. And that is get angry at people, blame everybody around, and shove everything in our shadow. And then we are a torpedo. We're powerful. Yeah, anger feels powerful, but the problem is it's fake. It's not real. You don't have any power when you're angry. You lose all your power. But it gives us the impression of being powerful. So we all jump on the internet and hate on each other, and we all it's unbelievable what we're all doing right now. Everybody, but just it's not because one person is right and one person is wrong. I mean, everybody's got good points, everybody's got bad points, and right now I think almost nobody's got good points because everybody is taking excessively extreme views on everything. So we're always split like at the exact opposite of everything, and nobody's even aware that there's a middle that exists anymore. uh Maybe that's why we don't have couples anymore either, because nobody understands anymore that it's not me, 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 and hey, everything needs to serve my needs. um but we're having a huge problem, you guys. And so, if anybody wants to jump on the bandwagon of those of us trying to fix it, I would recommend looking at your own anger and what things make you angry and why they make you angry and how you can, look what's under, because anger is a secondary emotion. Anger is an emotion you feel when you're hurt. So if you don't want to feel anger and if you don't want to hurt the people around you, you look at the hurt and you start crying maybe, and you start going like, oh my god, poor me, and then once you felt it, you go, "Whew, that was messed up, all right." But now you felt it, because that's how emotions go. That's emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is also knowing that sometimes is the time to, blur out stuff at people, and other times is the time to just keep it in and say, we'll talk about this later with them. Now, in my case, I can preach it, but I'm ADHD, so that is one of my massive struggles. We tend to be the person where everybody else at the meeting, when the boss says, you're all getting a pay cut, everybody's like secretly wanting to flip the table, and the ADHD person has flipped the table and they're now on their way to their car going like, oh crap, I lost another job. But hey, such is life. So what do you think about that, Jill? Emotional intelligence, is it a prerequisite for spiritual life? Oh, you left. I think you went to put the baby to bed, didn't you? All right. Well, guys, it's just you and I. um, I'm sorry, and I'm not as pretty as Jill, uh, but it'll have to do for now. Oh, as I said that, one person vanished. Really? I am hurt. Not. It's okay. So we can talk about the role of nature in spiritual practice. Now, I don't believe that everybody absolutely needs nature in their practice. Okay, maybe I'm lying. I don't absolutely believe it, but I'm having a hard time, not saying, hey, come on, you really need to go in nature. Because I go in nature almost every day. I constantly go in the woods. I'm looking at houses. I want to buy a house in the middle of nowhere in nature because that is where I go to heal. That is where I go to replenish myself. That is where I go. If you're in any way, shape, or form connected to the energies of things, to the way things interact with each other, the way nature balances itself. When you enter nature and you actually pay attention to what is going on around you, you can have such an amazing experience. And believe it or not, and this is something I don't know how to teach people, I'm trying to, and I'm sure most will go, what the heck is this guy talking about? But in nature, if you want, you can ask your inner self, you can ask your higher self questions, you can ask whatever you want to call it, source, and because the universe is actually, it's an interaction, there's a constant interaction between us and what happens outside of us, and that outside of us helps us know what's inside of us, but what is also source. So because we're one with source, referred to earlier during the show. Um, but yeah, I'm getting lost in my own but in nature, okay, in nature, what you can do is you can focus on certain things that are going on in your life, and truly, through the sun, the birds, the wind in the trees, and what you can literally learn to interpret what it gives you back. Because the world is a mirror, except when you're in the middle of a city, the world is confusing. There's a lot going on. So, if you're trying to figure out what information you can use to learn about yourself, because believe it or not, you can always look outside of yourself to learn about yourself. That's how shadow work works. If you haven't yet, go watch on Boundless Mind on YouTube. Watch my videos on. I have one on shadow work. It explains a little better. But we have that relationship with the world, the mirror that's always happening. Now, if you go in the woods and you actually kind of, become at peace. Number one, a forest. This might sound crazy to some people, but a forest will actually know you. Um, I discovered a couple of years ago that trees actually have the ability to talk to each other and to convey information to each other at a insane speed. We're talking like computer speed, like it just goes woof, and it's through the root system. I don't know how scientists have figured that one out, but they did, and that is really cool information to have because now at some point I go to the same forest. I've been going there for few years now, and so I have developed a relationship with it. And truly, when you first enter a forest, the trees will literally, it's like the forest knows you're there. It's echoed in the forest that a human has entered, and whoever that information has anything to do with will be communicated. Now, same thing as you begin to cross animals. If you learn to listen to especially bird calls and stuff, you'll hear the birds. They're transmitting information to each other, going, hey, there's a guy, he's coming. And so the entire ecosystem uh, knows that you're coming. Now, here's the thing: if you go daily in that same forest, that entire ecosystem says, hey guys, here's Frank. especially if you're going in and you're feeding the animals and you're, you know what I mean, like if you're in any way shape or form being nice to them, they'll literally come and greet you. They'll come and interact with you, and even to some extent the trees and the sun will convey information to you. I've gone in the forest and been in like situations where I was like losing my mind. I'm like, oh my god, what am I going to do about this? I don't know what to do. And when I went there, I received, it's like all of a sudden I was like, oh, maybe I should do this, right? And all of a sudden, for some reason, the sun came out and everything just kind of shined. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? But at some point, I decided to allow myself to take that information and to go, what if the sun was right? What if the sun was telling me something? You never know. We're always going like, hey, give me a sign, give me a sign. What if we were receiving thousands of them every day? We're just not reading them. Maybe that's the skill that we need to focus on, is learning to read the signs. And so I said, all right, well, let's try to read the signs. And I don't know, so far it works. That's it, right? Like you go, you make friends. I actually want to, at some point, if anybody would be interested in that, please let me know. But I'm trying to do something where I would actually take a few people in the forest and teach people for maybe a couple of days or whatever about that relationship with the forest itself, and how to go in and learn to become part of that ecosystem, to become friends with it in a spiritual and in a,
What are you going to camp out with people?
possibly, I don't know. I haven't yet thought about how, but, or we might just go day and at night people sleep in a hotel, depending where we are, right? If we're just in a forest, like I go in the middle of the city, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be, you know, anything special. They could sleep at whatever. I haven't made it yet. It's just an idea I have, because it's something I can teach people. Because look, I cross humans in that same forest all the time. I spend my time hanging out with deer, hanging out with, all kinds of different wildlife in that place. Really, really special birds like come near me because I don't know. I guess they're just at peace with me now. They never used to when I went before. And a lot of the humans I cross in that forest,
I
they
saw the
probably
deer.
don't see much. You know what I mean? Some of them don't see nothing because they're just running, or like people do that. They go run in the forest. And I'm like, okay, go run and then go to the forest. Just, I get it. Like it's prettier than running in the city, and it's more challenge and whatever. So it makes perfect sense. It's just, it's funny to me because every time I'm walking and I'm seeing a gazillion living things and they're just running by, and I'm like, wow, you're you're not in the forest. You're in your head. But such is the way. Humans are very self-absorbed bunch, I think. Am I wrong? Is that possible? Could it be?
Could be. It's a little bit.
Sacred geometry. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't.
All right, we're going to have to learn.
Yeah, we do. Does that have anything to do with like astrology or numerology?
No. Give me a second.
No,
Sacred.
can't.
What did I say again? Sacred geometry. But I do like of course, I've come across it, but and it speaks to me in some way. Well, the shapes speak to me, like here. See, because they're all these. Let me try to share. Um, okay, cool. I'll be able to share my screen. And okay, how do I do this? Share. No, that's not share. Share. We don't need the audio this time. Sacred geometry symbols. Share. Boop. And so, all right, like these little guys there. Oh crap, I'm not sharing the right one. Well, anyways, like all those shapes there. You know how you see them like everywhere and stuff. Like,
Mhm. Didn't they, like,
okay,
teach this
so
in school or something?
well, no, but that's the thing. That's
Didn't you have to have one of these little tool things? It was like a little silver thing with a pencil on the end.
well, yeah, but not for doing this. They taught us geometry, but not like this is sacred. Those are sacred geometry shapes. Like they all have meaning and they all yeah, so that's pretty much all I know. But the shapes, that's
Hey,
okay. So
Connor. Sorry.
hey, um the shape at the very bottom left, that's the shape that I often talk to you where when I'm talking about us traveling multiple dimensions all the time at the same time, that image, imagine that what you're doing is traveling any of the lines, and then you're coming to intersections and you can follow one line or another,
Mhm.
and then one line or another. But the entire universe is that shape everywhere. Like everything, every decision we make, we're just taking a different little path in that thing. And so those are the possibilities. They always exist, but we're taking different paths. And our paths cross and uncross, and they just do stuff like that.
Mhm. I don't know. I mean, I've seen these shapes before. I just never studied them.
Well, that's not what it actually means. I'm pretty sure it's just that when I see that shape, that's what it makes me think of. But it's not what it means. Like sacred geometry is a whole
Does
thing.
this have anything to do with the,
I
the
don't know.
colorful pictures that they
As what?
put out?
Sacred geometry, art, symbol, and meaning. It is often referred to as the architecture of the universe, found throughout the natural world. Yeah, that's why. It's because all those shapes, and one of them, if you notice, is also the shape of the tree of life. All of those shapes, they happen naturally they happen in nature, like repeatedly. They happen a lot in nature. Like if you look at the second one from the top on the right, the germ of life. Um,
Germ of life.
yeah, yeah. If you look at that one, uh, right here. Wait up. Where am I? How? What screen is it sharing that?
I see one side purple and one side you Google whatever.
Oh, wait up. Oh, there you
There
go.
we go.
Okay, so this one, that's the same as those, they're not jellyfish, but they're like the flat ones or whatever. Have you ever seen those? They hang out on the side of the beach, and I think in the Bahamas they have them.
No,
They're
never been to the Bahamas.
but they sort of have that shape on them. And I've seen that shape in a lot of things. When you open, like, there's certain fruits, when you open them, that's what the seeds look like
I may have
inside
seen it in I don't know if
in
I've seen it in
fruits.
a fruit or if I'm psychically seeing it, but like, is it like an orange fruit, orange peeling fruit,
Well, that's it. There's some
and
fruits that
like
have
little
that.
black
There's
seeds maybe?
It's repeated in nature. It's You'll find those shapes everywhere. That's the point, is that those shapes happen a lot in nature. So okay.
Now that thing at the bottom, the third one, the third row, the
Hmm.
one in the middle on the third row, I've seen a crystal shaped like that.
But here they all have meaning. Like let's say we take the one we just said, the germ of life. Let's find it. Actually, they called the tree of life
Now
the
I
tree of
can
life.
tell you what. Actually, you know what? I might be lying because I said that I don't really know anything about them, but these are used on crystal grids.
Yes, they are. I don't know much about it, like I say, but I understand some of it, but it's it's very in some sense it's because they're all the shapes that all those shapes happen in the universe. Like I don't know if you've seen
Sand
those
dollar, Pam
experiments.
says.
Have you seen
Hi,
those
Pam.
have you ever seen when you put sand on a speaker?
No. Why
It
would I do
creates those
that?
shapes. It creates those shapes.
It
Oh,
would not ruin the speaker though.
wait up. Okay.
Pam said second row, third pick reminds her of a sand dollar.
What's a sand dollar?
It's something from the beach, huh, Pam?
Okay, here. Let me see. How will I? Yeah, share this tab. Okay, this. I hope there's
If
not
you
going to be
want
any
to find the
copyright
secret to the
issues.
universe,
Well, it's
take
okay.
the
We're
time
not
to think.
monetized anyways. But this is what it is. I'm not sharing sound. I think. Eh? Am I sharing sound?
I don't know. You
No.
might have to
Well,
stop your share and reshare.
well, it won't. Okay, yeah, it's reacting to sound, so I'll have to. Okay, stop sharing, reshare, share tab audio. This tab is amazing. Share. There we go. And play. This is super freaky. Like it's super cool. So they just resonate at 100 hertz, which is a bass. They stick salt or sand or whatever, and then they vibrate it using a tone generator. Well, you can read. That's what it does naturally. Look, making more shapes. So every time you change the frequency, it changes. Now we were talking about how sound affects the universe and spirituality. Yeah.
They can't hear us talk when we're sharing, can they?
Yes. Like it's incredible. It's just all we're doing is vibrate. It is using different frequencies, and it gives us different.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
It's really something.
Man, I want to just try that now and ruin the speaker if I got to.
Well, they're not directly on a speaker. They have a plate that the speaker vibrates at those frequencies, because those are high frequencies too. It's getting higher and higher now. Well, actually, those are still, they're not that bad, but soon we'll probably get like super high. It's pretty insane though. It's like, okay. Now, the thing that I've never seen mentioned, and I don't know if it does it, is if you go back to vibrating the exact same frequency, do you get the exact same pattern? I don't know. But still. I suspect you would, you should. Now, the fact that you do is telling by itself. So when
Pam, we
magicians
try it
use,
when you come to Louisiana.
but that's the whole thing though. When I say that when magicians vibrate words, that's the entire idea is that you're affecting everything. You're affecting everything around you with those vibrations. Because they're shaping this, but they're also shaping the air, they're shaping everything, right? The sound is traveling everywhere. That vibration is everywhere. Super pretty. I feel because I used their video, we should do a shout out to BRUSSPUP Bruspup, who made this video. So if anybody wants to look for it, it is a Bruspup. But yeah, so
That was
that
cool.
yeah, BRUSSPUP. Um, that is the name of the channel.
Breast pump.
Huh. And it, because it's the name of a channel, it puts these little check marks under or something. Oh no, okay, it's just telling me where I just shared. Okay, I get it.
I don't get it, but okay.
That's
Huh.
fine. When we write in the chat, it tells us like, okay, you just chatted with uh this channel, that channel.
Pam, you might have missed it. We were talking about the EFT tapping
Yeah, that's
earlier.
true.
Pam was
You'll
in the
have to go back and
class.
watch it. You'll have to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Everybody else too. Everybody should watch the whole show. No, you shouldn't. You watch whatever you want. Isn't that okay? Let's talk about that. I think it's not mentioned enough. We're challenging time right now, humans.
How is that, Frank?
We are so totally challenging time. Um, we've always lived in a linear fashion, right? I went about my day. I woke up in the morning. I went to Jill's house. I spoke to Jill live. That was it. Then I left Jill's house. I spoke to Bob live, and I didn't have any recognition of Jill while I was with Bob. Now I can read what Jill said 3 weeks ago as if she was telling me today, and I can reply to it, and Jill might read it 2 weeks from now. And yet I have a million other things going on in my life, a thousand other conversations that are each defying time in that way. So we're not bound to that same linear time that we used to. And this is what is creating us going so fast into everything, because we're actually, the information remains available nonstop. Like we had books before, we had, you know what I mean? We had TV, what we had some recording, but right now it's happening so light. We're having spread on time, like, or mixed in time conversations. We're having conversations that defy the order in which they should happen. You may have somebody reply in the middle of our conversation, reply to what one of us said. Boom, they just jump in the middle. Like so much can happen now. And because of that, I think that's what's, we're really, like, humanity is going through something so incredible right now. It's I can't wait to see what happens. And here's the other thing that I want to challenge. Everybody's always going like, yeah, but all those changes, they won't happen in my lifetime. Like that takes generations. I keep on saying, by the time I die, there'll probably be 7 generations alive. We're going through a generation every 10 years and things are speeding up. So we're
Definitely.
going to go through a generation every 5 years at some point. We're going to have kids make the decisions because, people in their 20s will be clueless what the hell's going on in the world. It's going to become really weird really fast.
There's a video we watched last night. I don't know if Pam remembers what it was, but it was something about how, how the world was supposed to take that shift, for the world was supposed to end the Mayan calendar, da da da. It's on YouTube, and
2012.
yes. Pam, you know the video? Because it was awesome.
Well, there was a lot of videos about that. Like a lot of people believed it was going to be the end of the world.
Like how it really did happen, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like if it's like if every December I said, "Oh my God, it's going to be the end of the world because my calendar's ending." Dude,
No,
the
you
guy
have to.
ran out of, it was a rock. He ran out of space.
You have to. You have to watch the video to understand. You can't ask Pam because she's not here, but ask Pam.
Why? That's what the guy eventually says. Well, because I mean, really, it's a calendar. Like, what do you think?
No, you don't get it.
Uh, no, I. Oh, she's asking if you guys watched it in the circle.
Yes, were you there? About the video. I'm trying to figure out what video. I know Jonathan played the video, but I don't remember the name of the video.
But what was the gist of it, anyways?
So basically, um, we did shift, and the world did the. It's very hard to explain. This girl explains it perfectly. We did switch, and that's why the calendar ended. But we lost a year somewhere, some kind of way, and COVID affected it some kind of way, and I I can't even start to explain it. Like that's why I wasn't sure if I should bring it up because I have to have the video to be able to explain it.
Yeah, that sounds complex. But we've changed calendars like a lot of times since then. A lot of times.
Hmm.
Um, so, but I mean, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, the calendar ended because it just, that's what all calendars do. They're a record of something that doesn't even exist for real, time.
Definitely.
Like, so, okay, it ends. Ooh, what ends? Time? No, time's not like, time is going to end with us. That's when time ends, when humanity ends, because it only affects, well, okay, one could argue that the animals, but then one could argue that the animals will cease to exist because nobody will be conscious of them. They won't, they may not cease to exist, but what is, like, how does, okay, there's a good question. What is life without consciousness?
What's the answer to that?
uh yes, I believe we are as well. There's a whole story too. If anybody's ever read, has never read that book, I'm
What's
about
the
to lie here. I'm going to say it's a good book. I read it in French. It was the very best book I ever read. I went to read it in English and I went through about two chapters and I went, "Oh my
He
god,
always
this is a
stumps me.
horrible introduction." So it's the Foucault pendulum. That guy came up with the theory that at some point when the Freemasons and the Foucault pendulum, it's Umberto Eco. Uh, he when the Rosicrucians in the 1300s had a manifesto where they said, "We are looking for people with spiritual knowledge. Please, if you know who you are, contact us." That was a big thing because back then, anybody who mentioned any kind of spiritual knowledge would get burned, killed, whatever. Like there was many ways we could dispose of them. Um, and so for those guys to take that risk was like, okay, what the hell is going on here? And it was their manifesto. Like they were like, hey, we exist and we're seeking people with knowledge. What he brings up in his book, and that guy's a scholar, like his entire book is all based on facts. He just kind of takes liberties and stringing them together in ways, right? But what happened is that the Freemasons were the one that were tasked because throughout history, different groups were tasked with holding the secret knowledge, whatever we now just simply call spirituality, but magic, all those things, because you would get burned to the cross. So you had to hide it. And
Hmm.
so at some point, they tasked one group and said, you have to hold on to this and pass it down to your adepts
Generation.
until a certain time, at which time you now pass it to a different group and they will become the ones holding it. Because we figured that by then the Inquisition will probably be on to you. So they might know who you are. The same as everybody now is going like, oh my God, the Freemasons. And it's like, yes, at some point in history, the Freemasons had secret knowledge. Now they're just the club. They're a little more, but whatever, you know what I mean? Like they're not the people that people think they are. And this is where the book gets interested is he says, we changed calendar, and that's when we started using the Gregorian calendar. And it was only a little bit after we started using it that the Rosicrucians said, hey, we're looking for people with knowledge, because what he brings up as a could be is that the one group was still using the old calendar and the other group was using the new calendar. And they had been tasked with meeting on a certain date. And so they both met at a different date and went, okay, we're supposed to pass the knowledge. And the other guys went, we're supposed to receive the knowledge. And so they put out a manifesto asking for people who had spiritual knowledge to contact them. and which supposedly they did, and the Rosicrucians then became the people carrying the torch, if you will. And I don't know where it would be now. The Golden Dawn pretends to have been such people. It all ends up in the OTO. It all ends up in all kinds of other organizations that are related to magic in some way or another. But the fact that we had changed the calendar and that kind of had that impact is kind of cool. Uh, that was a super long story for just that. I agree. Your turn.
I'm still trying to get this video. It's driving me crazy because I can't wait for you to see it.
But why do I have a feeling I'm gonna want to bash it?
That's why I want you to see it. That's the whole point. It wouldn't
Well,
be
okay.
fun otherwise.
It wouldn't be fun. Well, no, it would
Oh,
still be fun. But yeah, because my problem is, and I do it too, but I'm conscious that I do it and I say it when I do it, is that a lot of it is okay, we're making up stuff in a way. You know what I mean? We all have beliefs and we all have things that we think. And the more detailed it gets, the more you're like, yeah, we're making this shit up. You remember that, right?
mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, we're all making up stuff. Some of us try it and go, hey, wow, it works. And so, all right. Some of the other stuff, you go, no, that's just made up, because that, when you try it, it just doesn't do nothing. It doesn't work. But but that's where you're going to find the difference. But aside from that, yeah, we're all pretty much coming up with theories and trying them, aren't we? But
That's what we do best.
I think it's so weird. People look so hard for reality to be objective. Whenever you tell them it's subjective, like, they freak out. It's like you just took the carpet out from under their feet. And it's like, no, you define your reality. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, everybody wants to be right.
Yeah. Well, not everybody. They're
Most
just
people
very, very few people that
that don't.
meditate at top of mountaintops and don't. But I mean, yeah, it's an ego problem. We have an ego and anger
Yeah,
problem.
that's the biggest thing that stands in everybody's way,
Yep.
and that's probably what's the biggest thing that's ruining the world.
It's okay though. We're getting there. We're getting to the appreciation that, hey, we may have an ego problem, because we're talking about it on the internet. We're saying, hey,
Hmm.
look, people are taking selfies themselves. People are filming their, I mean, they're, I've seen guys, like, they talk about going on dates, and the girl gets there and she pulls out, like, the stick light and stands on the table and takes pictures of the meal, and the guy's like, that's my date? Holy moly, I gotta go. Like, it's like, oh my god, like, that's how self-important we've become, right? Like, it's like, oh, I gotta film myself doing everything, and I gotta, it's like, wait up. Like, I mean, I know you're on YouTube and Facebook, ironically, uh but nonetheless, like, if you have something to say and it's gonna help humanity and it's gonna help people in some way, sure, yeah, that's great. But wow, so much is going on.
You know what's really annoying too? These people that are, I don't know if you've seen them. They go into like the government buildings with cameras filming, just to get a rise out
Just
of
to
the
start.
staff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like just to waste people's time and to call law enforcement because I know my rights. Blah 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 blah.
They're trying to
Like,
entrap police officers,
why,
basically. Yeah.
why do you? Why are you starting
It's
this
like,
commotion? Get a life.
yes. I used to I used to be good at going and bugging police officers, and so, look, I know that you can get a rise out of them. Like, they're humans. They're not, it's not because they're all bad. It's because, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, when I was on the streets in Montreal, some of us would just come down and grab some people and beat them just for the heck of it. So, yeah, some of them are pretty bad. But that being said, there's still a lot of them that are not. But if you push enough, Yeah, they'll do something bad. Of course, they'll make a mistake. Of course, they'll like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just go and poke them repeatedly and punch them and go like, "Oh, that guy, look, he punched me back." Well, no, that doesn't work. You can't like, I don't know, like, talk to the guy and challenge that he's asking you for your identity while playing with a brown paper bag beside you. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
go, "Oh,
like
you're not allowed to see what's in the paper bag." Like, come on.
we want to go and we want to teach our kids not to be bullies and to do the right thing and stuff. Yet we're on the internet bullying people, trying to get a rise out of law enforcement and
I
just
know.
kicking for shit.
Yeah, but hey, here's what. Better yet, we want to teach our kids not to bully people, and yet we bully them. So whatever.
True.
That's where we need to start. We got to start bullying our own kids. What's When did we decide that a good kid is a kid that listens and does everything you say? That's not even a good human. That's a useless human.
Hmm.
Like, question things, ask, like, challenge something. If my kids never challenge anything I say, I did something wrong. Oh my god, like, I've created robots, right? Like, I haven't created kids. But no, people want robots. And then when their kids become adult and useless, they go, "What's wrong with that generation?" Well, you raised them useless. You told them that, they needed to do everything they were told, so that's what they're doing. They're doing everything they're told, but right now the people leading them suck. So, well, they suck. That's all. Yeah, I think we have a
True.
small leadership problem in the world right now.
Definitely.
It seems okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to say this. Are the baby boomers going at some point? I mean, really, I mean, the world is ran by a bunch of 98 years old who are trying to put as much as possible in their pockets. Why? I don't know. They're dying.
They and not take it with them.
Like, I mean, really, guys, unless they've become immortal and we don't know, which, I mean, you never know, man. It's the baby boomers. They're probably sucking babies. Well, they are. Some of them are in Hollywood. There's actually a company called Ambrosia that provides rich people, with kids' blood for them to get transfusions to try to stay young. Yes, that's the kind of world we live in. The company's called Ambrosia. You can look it up. It
Okay, that's
exists.
crazy.
It is a service. Now, where do you think they get that blood? That blood
From Ambrosia.
from kids in the ghettos that are going to give blood and get paid? Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's a lot of shady stuff going on in the world. It's well, yeah, because poor people go give blood to get money in the states, anyways, and then they grab
What
that
do you
blood
do in
and they buy
Canada?
it. I don't think we get paid at all in Canada. You can go give blood, but it's just because you're trying to be a good person. I don't, because
I never
I'm
got
gonna
paid to
pass
give
out.
blood.
Well, some places do. That's the weird part. Like, they have programs where they pay.
Maybe it's because I always went like on like for my kids. The schools do like blood drives and stuff,
Oh, maybe.
so maybe that's why.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of weird stuff going on with the blood and DNA and whatnot. And oh yeah, like, the amount of stuff that science is able to do, and that we don't even know that it exists, and yet, the rich class is able to acquire all that weirdness, and you're like, okay, dude, like, why do you even acquire that? But it is they're trying to become immortal because they they're fragile. I mean, that's a huge judgment. I apologize, but for the most part, typically, yeah, it's because they're fragile. Their entire existence is based on their ego, and their ego is not actually a thing. The ego is just a tool. It's a part of us. But if you live on it's like if I became my hammer as a carpenter. Well, no, I would be a hammer. Then people would just grab me and hammer nails with me, and I would be useless, right? You don't want to become a hammer. You want to stay the central you. Well, the ego was a hammer. It was a very effective hammer when we needed to survive against saber-toothed tigers. Because, yes, the ego is our survival tool. However, we now live in houses with no saber-toothed tigers. We have to worry about paying our heating bill, and we have to worry about going to the grocery store and buying food. We have Things are different a little bit. So yeah, we can't use our ego as our main function anymore, because it makes us kill each other. That's not good. It makes us hate each other, that's all. So we need to find a new way of functioning.
New way of life.
That's exactly it. But we will. I'm confident of it, because everything that's going on right now is leading us there. It's all just bringing us to where we're going to be able to become a better humanity, I think.
All right, we're hitting on an hour and a half. I guess we're gonna wrap it up for tonight,
Yeah, I think so.
and we will be back live next week. I'm not sure what the date is on next Thursday.
But here's the good news, guys. It's always Thursdays now. So it's
Every
easy.
week on Thursday.
Thursdays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Pacific. um, yeah, like, come back, ask questions. You guys leave comments, ask questions. We really want to hear from you. Like the video. It's free, whatever. Like, just, make YouTube and Facebook know that you like us, we exist, or let us know you hate us. That could happen too. You
And
never know.
if you're catching this as a rerun, after the fact, we will come back and check the comments.
Absolutely. Yeah, we always check all the comments. Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us, guys. We will see you 1 week from tonight.
Take care, and lots of love.